I guess this is the first time I can say, welcome to Bekkalokk Podcast on English.
In English.
Like we're actually doing this in
Oh
Norwegian.
shit, this is the first time in English.
Yeah. You just took our virginity. You just took it and then ran with it, and we're just stuck here and it was taken. I'm gonna stop now.
Where are you going with this?
I don't know. Welcome to Bekkalokk Podcast. We're usually talking about movies, games, TV shows, and all that kind of stuff. But we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be doing something a little bit differently.
Oh, we could do that too.
We could. Maybe next time.
Yeah,
You can join the next time. You can actually. We'll do it our way.
You
follow us this time.
Well, I'll let you
you
say. When I walked into the room, the first thing I saw was the Mario Kart over there, the toy figure.
Oh yeah.
I would like to say that Outlands has most of my investments in my life.
Oh,
yes.
I'm a comic book head.
You'd be perfect.
Yeah, I love
You'd be
comic books,
perfect.
man.
Wouldn't he be perfect?
We never find comic books.
So is he
Stuff to
like
talk about.
is he like hired, or is he like that trainee guy that we're never gonna hire? Like we're gonna use him?
That's the story of my life.
Someone's getting fired.
I just heard someone right now. You can usually find us on SoundCloud and on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find us on SoundCloud for the sound version only, and vice versa for the video version. We also have a guest, so this is not something that we usually do, but
Thank you.
who the hell are you? And what do you do? And
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh
That's
my
a...
That's a great question.
Well, so a couple of weeks ago, I was playing in the concert, and I happened to meet these guys over here.
Yeah,
and
not you.
Yeah, I was at work.
Well, actually, I met you before.
Yeah,
Yeah, you guys
Way
know
before.
each other, right?
Way before that.
Yeah.
I was like, last year, I met you at the Law Festival.
Yeah.
And then, and then I go by the name of Doriansgrave. I'm an artist creator.
That's your stage name, performance
That's
name.
my performance name.
Yeah.
Heavily inspired by Oscar Wilde.
Oh, cool.
Who did a book called The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh.
So that's what it is. That's why I think that's why I'm here. I'm not sure.
It'd be so funny if we never talked about that. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? We're going to talk about movies now. Stop ruining our game, man. And also we have...
before?
Huh?
We've been talking about books before.
You too? Talking about books?
We have.
Yeah, we've been talking about books. Well,
Yeah.
comic books, but not books.
We talked about books twice, I think.
We didn't talk about one book, but we ranted about the artist, not the not the book
It's
itself.
what
It
we
was
do.
like,
Ouch.
that's the yeah.
Was it a horrible book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Skywuda is here.
Hola.
Treehead.
Treehead.
Wow.
Woodhead.
No.
Well, it's always
Check with the book.
Not this way,
We gave her a nickname for the first podcast. She didn't want to be recognized.
Wait, that's not your real name?
No.
Oh my god!
It's like in the cards. Basically, we don't do this on English. We usually are a Norwegian podcast, but there are occasions we can do some English stuff.
Like now.
Like now, right?
Like now.
My English friends
Because
will be
you're
very
from
happy.
the States,
Yeah.
isn't it?
That's
Or Canada.
Contrary to
You're one of those Canadian boys?
No, I'm not. Contrary to like popular beliefs and all. I'm actually from Nigeria, West Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. But my accent just sounds a bit more American than
A
normal.
lot more Americans. A little bit more Americans.
Nah, it's just when I was growing up, there was always this thing about clarity when you spoke.
Yeah.
And the guy who raised me, he used to be in the military, and he was pretty much British brought up.
Okay.
So he was very adamant about speaking. So every time I spoke, he made sure I spoke clearly.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, growing up like that, influences and whatnot, music, television, art,
Yeah, basically the media,
rises,
everything.
starts to change.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I sound this way.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I was learning English, I didn't learn British. I don't know British. I don't know it.
I don't think anybody wakes up at prime time telling you, oh, I just want to watch British.
Oh, but I
channels."
feel like people do. It's like in schools, like they yelled at me. It was like, "Why are you speaking American?" It's like, is that correct?
The
It's like, I
Who
did.
fans prefer you.
Yeah,
to
but it
speak
was like, yeah,
British.
you're supposed to say not Leviosa. I'm like, Jesus Christ. What fuck? Like, it was that British. I was like, can I just speak English? And the first movie that learned me English, I'm not shitting you, was Godzilla from 1998.
Nice.
That's a lot of fish. And I was like, that's a lot.
It was
of
French
fish.
for me.
And that's how I learned.
It was what? It was French for you?
Friends.
Oh, French. They said
English was French
I'm like, what?
It was the video game Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, video games is an influence too.
Okay, this is
Because
interesting.
I had to learn the language to be able to play it.
Yep.
Wow.
But my dad is also American, so I learned a little bit from him.
Oh, you said that last time, first time.
Yeah, and that. So
Same with like Game Boy stuff.
Yeah.
I really didn't understand anything that was going on. I just played the game, right?
I think for me it was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it was The Fresh Prince. I watch that all the time, slavishly. So.
How do you feel about a reboot? Because
Oh,
Will keeps
man,
talking about like a
I
reboot
know.
and his son playing into the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's my reaction too. Like it's gonna be a sequel. So Will is still Will, but it's like he's had a son, and the son is gonna be the main guy of the show, and then Will's gonna probably have a cameo. I was like, yo, what's up? And then he walks out again.
Is Will gonna play Uncle Phil?
I hope so.
Yeah, he's probably gonna be in the next Uncle Phil. That's what they're aiming for, at least.
Okay.
We don't know if this is happening.
Probably
It's
play
just
himself, play like the French Prince, but he'll be the Uncle Phil of that show.
Yeah, I
he
get
just transforms into him.
But I feel like that's already going on right now because his Instagram, his Instagram is popping. I don't know if you guys follow Fresh. Will Smith, and his Instagram is insane. I'm like, dude, we're already watching your life story on your Instagram. We don't need no Fresh Prince.
Yeah,
He's on YouTube as well.
And he's
There
giving
you
a
go.
lot of shout outs to people who are really creative and like people who really
Yeah, I see
he's
that.
super
yeah.
good with that. Like he's not just giving shout outs to like this is an influencer. It's like no, this guy is creative, this guy is good, but people don't know about this guy or this girl.
But that comes. I think that's something that comes with confidence. Because in the industry, like I've been in the industry for a bit, but people look at me as an underground artist, which I like to think I am. A lot of people don't know how to give shout outs to other people.
Yeah.
And that shit kind of that shit pisses me off. It's like if you see someone who's good at what they do, I don't see them as a competition per se. I see them as people who are also on a different path.
I look at him as a teammate.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Of course, there's a competitive nature to the business, of course, but I feel like if we can separate that and like, just like when I met you guys, you know what I mean? We met just randomly and conversation just kept going on. And I was like, okay, let's do a podcast. And they were like, we do a podcast. And I'm like, oh, shit.
But we do one.
Like photographers in Bergen, before it was much more competition.
Oh, yeah.
Like the gear is super expensive. But nowadays it's more like a sharing is caring type of feeling around. You can just borrow equipment from other photographers and you can cooperate more and it's
sometimes some people are a little bit
of course there are always
I want them likes and it's like okay geez all right fine you go.
I think that's coming up the reason of where we are right now in terms of social media. Back in the day there was no Instagram where anyone could upload whatever. Back in the day you had to call a photographer. These days everyone is a photographer in their own right.
Now people just DM them.
Exactly. And so I feel like what's going on is it's not that photographers are being nicer. It's just the photographers that understood that it's more important for them to get their names out there on social media. Back in the day, you had to pay a guy, and why would I want to share, my clientele with you? Yeah. Because that's going to take away money from me. Right. So I think it's just an evolutionary process we're seeing today. Definitely. I think so anyway.
I think the only photographers that I follow personally, because I do photography too, so I'm like trying to get into the game, the community there, just to see how like they react to each other and stuff. And there have been a few people I've been following that just turned into one of those people who just want everything for themselves and it bites them in the ass and you see the stories of them crying. It's like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to see this anymore. Get the hell away from my screen. But I do see other people who's like, they could easily become competitive and they could win. But the thing is that they're sharing the models they're taking pictures with. They're sharing like the gear. They're sharing like, they're doing like collabs with each other, like edits and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's so nice to see people working together rather than just fighting against each other. And you see that in the movie. You're starting to see that in the movie industries too. It's like, if you cast someone in one movie universe, you can't cast someone in the other movie universe because he's our actor. But then, and same thing with like, the typical one, Marvel versus DC, like which one is better? But it's like, for me, it's like, why can't you just like both? Yeah. But then some people, it's like, but that's not right. It's like, well, fuck you.
No, but it's yes and no, because I think like there's always a puristic backdrop in everything. Yeah. It's the same with music, for example. If I say I like hip hop, and I say I'm a big fan of rock music. People don't understand. I actually grew up. When I grew up, I never listened to hip hop. Ever. Yeah. I listened to ABBA. Yeah. That was on constant rotation in my house. My mom was like the biggest ABBA. I have original records, LPs from ABBA, Boney M, Elvis Presley, all those guys. And then that's why it's easy for me these days to go out and say, oh, let's go to a rock concert. Of course, I'm there. Yeah. But if I told a hip hop head, I say, yo, let's go to a rock concert, they'd probably be like, okay, what are you talking about? Yeah. And it's the same with the Marvel DC
Yeah.
thing. So if anybody says, "Oh, I love Marvel," to hell with DC. I get that. Yeah, man, I understand.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, if you personally don't like DC, but you like Marvel, and then you hear like somebody saying the otherwise, it's like, that's fine. That's your personal opinion. Like, that's okay.
Right.
It's good to have discussion.
But then
of course.
Yeah, but then like there's toxic people too, just personal attacks on you. It's like, wow, okay, it's just a comic book. But like, I feel personally attacked. But personally, like when Stan Lee died, for example,
right.
like people from DC, they were all thanking him for like his.
Were they happy he died?
No, they were not. But we were prepared for that to happen. It was like people were looking at that, looking at the stats.
That would have been bad.
Like,
that would have been old.
Like, yo, Jerry, can you call the...
There's always that goddamn Jerry.
Well, you know what? Stan Lee just died. I think maybe an opening for DC right now.
Let's put them against Spider-Man. Let's go.
I thought that was going to happen with DC, I was like, oh.
No, but they were like thanking him, and they were doing like tributes to him, and it was like, well, that's their biggest competitor, and now he just passed away, and it's like, but he has a big influence. It's like when the competitor can admit, like, yeah, I learned stuff from him.
Yeah.
Like, and they learn from us. It's like, because that's the great thing to see about it. Like when business, like corporations are like, can agree with each other in some way. Like I think that's beautiful to see. Like it's just not 100% like pure competition. I think they're doing it because audiences like competition a little bit. They like competition, but they themselves are not like evil people. Like they're like, if somebody passes away, it's like, oh my God, like, we're really sorry about that.
I mean, there is some evil in corporate.
There are. I'm not saying that there's not. There are absolutely, like EA. Oh my God, there are absolutely evil corporations.
Monsters.
There are.
By the way, guys, I mean, not to digress or anything, I just gonna realize that there's a Harry Potter picture on my cup, and it says Johan Kim on it. I'm sorry. I felt a way about that, and I was like, okay, that's what am I drinking? And I sent it around back because I didn't want to look at it.
You see, like his face just turns into.
What's the point of cups if they don't have any kind of identity? So I have BB-8 I'm drinking from.
Okay. Well, one of my things I like to every now and then I like to steal cups. If it's a cool cup.
That's not nice, really.
I think I'm known for that. When I go to like cool clubs or restaurants and they have a nice cup, I end up not stealing. I end up actually
borrowing.
Borrowing
forever.
Yeah. When I go to Starbucks, for example, with a cool cup, I buy the cups.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to Espresso House, I tend to buy the cups because I don't know. You just think about cups. So.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of sets.
Yeah, right.
I want a different cup for different
purposes, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely every single cup I have in my cupboard at home is different. It has some kind of story behind it.
Yeah.
It's
Tell
really
us one story
old.
though. Like, did you like set out to buy this one particular cup, or did you actually like steal?
It's mostly stolen or gifts.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's always either gifts or I'm not looking for a cup, but I see a cup that I like and I was like, oh, I need to have that.
Yeah.
It's the same with that BB-8.
That's
right?
a cool cup.
Yeah.
That is pretty dope.
Keep that away from me, by the way.
I think I was on Star Trek.
I got it in
I'd be wrong.
Chile when I was there.
Oh.
So.
Oh wow. Of all places. Interesting.
I think Star Wars
So
is everywhere.
what actually made you start music? Like, what made you?
Oh man. So what happened was that I was like, I always grew up enjoying the non-popular stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I was growing, I grew up in the 90s, right? And I'm a 90s kid. And there were a lot of mainstream artists coming up at that time. Eminem, of course, is one of the best rappers of all time.
Absolutely.
We're not going to take that away from him. Jay-Z also, But I feel like a lot of people were, even Tupac Shakur or Notorious B.I.G., and which are these are great artists. Let's not mistake that at all.
Yeah.
But for me, I always felt like there was an underlying, there was some other niche, group no one was paying attention to. So I started like digging into them. So I started from like the Roots, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Common, these guys, and those are the guys who I resonated with more because they were all about talking about what was going on in real life.
Yeah.
And so that appealed to me more. But I've always been like the guy who you can battle and rap and whatever and all, but I never really went for it, kind of thing. So it wasn't until like in 2014, actually, when I started something called Slam Poetry in Bergen. So I started Slam Poetry Bergen, which is pretty much a platform for, I like the non-popular stuff. Yeah. I didn't want to do regular poetry because I thought that was boring. I wanted to be like, let it be fast.
You want to do something different.
Yeah, let's have some fun. Let people be able to drink and chat and there's be music and all that, And then I started that, and then because I felt like it was important for me to polish the poetry part of my rap because rap stands for rhythm and poetry, right? So I went to polish the poetry part, and then when I felt like I had a hang of it, then literally like 2 years ago, that was when I just started like, all right, I think I got this now, you know, and I started studying all the different rappers I liked because every rapper needs to listen to a lot of rappers to get influences, right? And you start trying to find your voice.
Yeah. Connecting with the audience.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Like Miles Davis said it best. He said, sometimes you're going to go a long time before you can actually play like yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that was where it was a learning curve. Then later, I'm a big fan of Drake. Big fan of Drake. J. Cole. Not as much as Kendrick, but they also play in my album or my portfolio when it comes to artists that inspire me. Yeah. You know, so I then started doing it, and for me, clarity was important. So when I'm rapping, I want people to hear every goddamn thing I'm saying. No. You know, I want them to hear what I'm saying because I love the art of storytelling, you know, on a record. And there's one rapper who does this very well. His name is Master Ace. And believe it or not, I think that's where Eminem got it from. You know, but no one's ever going to talk about that, you know, so...
Everyone's got something from someone.
But that's the cool thing about going for the underground, because when you go for the underground, you get to really see where the mainstream gets it from. Yeah. You know, like Eminem is so big, that's cool, but Master Ace does it better, actually. Yeah. You know, but no one really knows who Master Ace is, except maybe you love underground hip hop kind of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like when one popular thing is like had an influence from something that started like maybe 20 years ago, but that thing that started 20 years ago wasn't able to kind of promote itself as that other thing can do, because there's a new era, there's a new time of social media and stuff where people can notice that artist a lot better than maybe the other guy from 20 years ago, right? So like it's different, but I think people should realize that no matter who you're listening to, everyone's got some sort of influence from someone else. Absolutely. Like, yes, maybe people do some twists. That goes for anything, music, movies, games, whatever. Remakes. But like we're talking like people who actually are looked upon as original people, right? Yeah. They still have some sort of influence from other people, and then that person has some influence from there again. So it's like it goes all the way back. Yeah. People don't realize that, but I think people don't mind that either. It's when you straight up rip off someone, that's when people look at that and be like, yeah, that's bad. Yeah,
but that's the thing we were just talking about earlier on, giving credit to people, right? Yeah. I've been ripped off many times, you know, with stuff. You know, I see it today in society, actually. But I might, like you said, it's a good thing sometimes. You know, it means you've influenced people and people are like enjoying what you're doing, but they're never going to admit it. And that's the sad part of everything. And look at social media today, for example. If you go on a video, some people use what I call the Stanley Kubrick technique. There's a thing called a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is something that changes every 30 years, right? And this is according to Ray Kurzweil, who's a futurist who predicted the iPhone and all this technology today. Yeah. And it's the same. Most of these kids or everybody using social media, well, you know when you like zoom into the face, like slow motion kind of thing, and just to capture that thing, that's a 70s move by Stanley Kubrick. He started that. Yeah. And when he was doing it, I think he got a lot of flack for it. Like, oh no, like what is he doing? You know, but today you see it all the time.
And now people are like, oh, that's so artsy. That's so cool. I wish I was you. It's like, oh my God, I want to be you when I'm younger. Like, God damn. It's like, okay.
You know, if you watch The Shining, if you watch A Clockwork Orange, you know, you see those things there popping. And
I personally have not seen Clockwork Orange yet.
Shame.
No, don't say that. I saw the first.
I'm used to
that. I saw the first 20 minutes and that was it for me.
Yeah, me too.
It was a bit too much, man.
It's boring.
But like way too much.
I saw the entire thing, but I had to force myself to finish it.
Am I the only one?
It's like crying. Wait a minute. Okay, so I had no idea what the movie's about. I had not seen a trailer. I had not read the plot synopsis.
That's great. That's great.
What's that?
Full Metal Jacket.
Wait,
I have not seen that.
Shame.
Okay,
Get off the stage.
Actually, you would probably love that.
Yeah.
But I love Clockwork Orange though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Different movies.
You're allowed to do that, but
I've seen a lot of like indie movies that not a lot of people have the balls to see, and one of those movies, which has got a lot more rep now because it is like a really fucked up movie, Human Centipede. I did the biggest mistake. I saw that movie on my way to the school on the bus. No. Public fucking bus. Oh. Sitting there, the first 5 minutes, it's starting okay. It's like a camera just panning through the forest. You see a man crying in the car. It's like, oh, maybe this is gonna be a deep movie that people.
This was in high school, right?
This was 3 years ago.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
you saw it late.
So he was in high school.
I was like, okay, he's crying in the car. He's looking at pictures, like, oh, this is gonna be a really sad tale. And people don't understand this. Wow, I can't believe it.
And then nothing about it.
And then they look at. I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't read the synopsis, but I did hear people saying like it's a disgusting movie, and I did have some idea what it was gonna be about. But I was like, maybe there's something deeper than just that, taking things out of context. But then they cut to the picture that he's looking at, and it's straight up like a dog pasted into another dog.
Oh no.
And it apparently died, and then the title comes, and it's like, that was the first 5 minutes, and there's a guy sitting right next to me who saw that, and then he looks at me, it's a straight eyes, just like, and I slowly closed down the laptop. I'm gonna watch it later. I'm just gonna watch it later, and I had a hard time finishing it off. But for me, it's like, even if I watch which it was a bad movie, but even watching a bad movie, it's harder than watching. No, it's harder watching a bad TV show than a movie. For example, a movie, it's like 2 hours and you're done. The movie's done. You don't have to force yourself to see the sequel if there is a sequel. But a TV show, how many times have you heard people say, "Oh, but wait until season 3, episode 4, then it's gonna be good." It's like, I don't want to wait.
Game of Thrones, aren't you?
Yes, I don't want to wait. I'll get to that. I don't want to wait like 6 months and then it maybe will be good. Like, I'll give a new show like 3 or 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And that's it. If you don't impress me, I don't care how cool the battle scene was in season 8. I don't care. I don't care. I am gonna stop.
Although the Battle of the Bastards was very
That was
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I did see that scene
That was
without
good.
context. Man, that was a cool scene. But I wish I loved the show. I tried like 3 times. It's just not for me. It's not a bad show. It's just,
Are we talking about a specific show right now?
Yeah.
I was like thinking, what's he talking about? No, but Game of Thrones is a classic, though. Like,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can say that now because it's over now,
done.
right? Now, but I understand what you mean. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I also feel like it's a very millennial thing to say sometimes.
But you have to love it?
No, I have to love it. Like, sometimes I feel like maybe it's a question of cultural class or tastes.
Sure.
Yeah.
My best series of all time is The Wire. I don't know if you guys have seen The Wire.
Oh, I want to see it. It's on
But
my watch
that's
list.
my number one
It's on my
series,
list.
hands down.
Yeah.
Across any whatever.
Yeah.
And it took you. It would take you the first 4 episodes before you actually begin to give a shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know.
That's why I don't stop at 1 episode.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same with music. A lot of people these days, if you send them a record, they don't want to listen through the record. If the first song isn't like banging, they just like skip. Like, okay, I'm done. And I'm like,
done.
oh, okay. You need to go through the stuff. And that's why I kept comparing. I was in a conversation the other day, and I started comparing artists to to series. Each artist is a movie series. Where if you, and that's the problem with today's musical climate, I think, where people need to drop like the bangers,
Oh,
the
yeah.
first one has to be like, you need to get good like that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like this designated survivor. I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first episode is like bang.
Yeah, it's so good.
You're like,
My
oh,
mom liked it a lot.
I gotta watch this shit.
The way it ends too is like, oh my god.
Right, and the same with Homeland.
Yeah.
When it started, it was like, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then later it started to dwindle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I think I'm done with you now. Sorry,
Yeah.
you give me a chance. And the same with music. I say, like, be careful when you make those hit records first, because what happens is you tend to realize that you don't. How many hit records can you make? You know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that's why, like, when it's like a Clockwork Orange or Full Metal Jacket or anything Stanley Kubrick,
Yeah.
that slow build is what I also apply when I'm making music.
Yeah.
It makes you get better as you go with
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
So a lot of people look at me and I'm like, oh, you only have like 1,000 streams. Oh, you only have. I'm like, I don't give a shit about. I don't give a shit about the streams.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about like our education with in media. It's a blessing and a curse for us when we watch a movie or a series or listen to music, because we can, for example, Breaking Bad. I didn't watch it. I
skipped it?
I think I saw 1 season and then I was done.
Okay.
Right?
You gave it 1 season.
But I can appreciate the cinematography. I can appreciate like cameras. I can appreciate the look of it. The actors. The script was bad, but you can. You start,
Get out.
Instead of just fine, the pacing is shit.
yeah, but instead of going like, oh, Breaking Bad is shit, I can then instead take it apart and say, hey, this is good, this is good, this is bad, this is bad.
Yeah, so it's
I
not
can
just
watch a shit movie, but I can still appreciate the cinematography, for example.
Yeah, so at least you're not stuck on that whole thing of like, it was bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you watch a movie that is great, but the ending sucks. Like, people automatically, it's like the last thing you remember is the ending, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, the movie was bad because it ended bad. But it's like, well, look at everything else besides the ending. Was it great? Was the build-up great? Well, yes.
Game of
Well,
Thrones. The last season of Game of Thrones was a bit...
I heard that was bad, yeah.
That's what they talk about in this book as well.
Should you show it on cam?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thinking Fast and Slow, or Fast and Slow. They talk about relationships where if a relationship ends badly, you tend to think back to the relationship badly. But you could have had 5 good years and then the last year was bad, and still think it was a bad relationship.
Oh, that just happened to me, actually.
Yeah, same.
No, but not in a like a man-woman relationship or relationship with something else.
All right.
You know, where it's like...
A man-man relationship?
No, that's also a relationship.
Okay.
You have a good run, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, maybe shit goes south one time, and all of a sudden, you remember it as for just that moment, you know? And that's, I think that's very, very, very unfair in life.
But that's human instinct, I feel like. It just comes naturally. Like, it's really hard for someone to be like, oh, but this is great after it ends. Like, automatically you're going to start thinking like, well, this whole thing sucked anyway, I didn't need it. But then later down the line, you're going to be like, well, it wasn't that bad. Like, when you actually start having time to think.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. No, but that's just a cycle of life, I think.
Yeah.
In so many different ways: movies, music, art, you name it. You know, and I don't know. It's just that someone gave me an advice where they say, I don't know who he was, but I don't think it was direct. It was something I heard, and it was like, whatever it is, just give it 72 hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I was listening through, because these days, before when I was acting, I used to act on impulse. You know, but now, like we just talked about, if somebody does something bad, before I act, I give it 72 hours.
Yeah.
Because maybe in the next 3 days, something else is going to happen and you don't feel that same way about it. You know, so I feel like a lot of people act too fast. So if something will have a good run and at the end of it, something bad happens, people instantly just go, fuck this shit, you know, this and this. And,
yeah, like they're angry in the moment and then they just rack from there. And it's like, well, now I said I was done, so now I have to be done, right? When they actually didn't want to be done, which would be awkward.
But it's a good tip. There's a lot of things you can say that can't be unsaid.
Absolutely.
And if you don't take time and realize that, okay, I'm angry now, and the things I want to say when I'm angry might not be the things that I mean when I'm settled down and you know, have time to think. Maybe the other guy that you're angry at also had the time to think and spoke to you about it and apologized. Right? It almost never happens, but it could happen. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, man. Give me a hug, man. And then just start hugging.
Trying to hug it out.
Just a man hugging out.
I started leaning towards the lips, and then
I remember
you guys
actually.
Pause.
Not that I.
Welcome to our podcast.
I work night shifts at the deli and
I'm glad.
I usually just ignore what he says. 90% of the time, I don't listen to him.
It's hot in here, man. Come on.
What happened at the deli?
A guy who was drunk and drugged, and he tried stealing from me. Like, he was standing in front of me, looking in the eyes, and took his hand below the counter, and took a packet of Skittles, and just while looking me in the eyes.
What did you do though?
I said, you have to pay for that. You know, you can't just.
I would have let him go. Like, you know.
At least you tried.
I'll be like.
But actually, he came back the next day sober.
Oh.
To apologize for his behavior.
Did he pay for it then?
No, he didn't took anything. I didn't let him. but I made sure to let him know, like, that's a really big thing you did. Like, you actually came back from something very embarrassing that you did while you were drunk and drugged, and apologized for your behavior.
And he could have chosen not to come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he could have just taken it, ran away, and just never came back again. But like, at least he came back.
He came back.
And then he was arrested. And now he's
dead.
Now he's dead. Jesus Christ, that was dark.
Over a bag of Skittles.
And the Skittles are still laying.
Freeze!
Skittles at the root of everything you do.
Where they're good though.
What's the worst, like, work experience people have had? Like, it could be within music, it could be out of just a 9-to-5 job. Just what's the worst experience people have had with a customer or a client?
I mean, I worked in restaurants, and you meet so many different kind of people.
Yep.
Especially like,
did you cook? Or did you serve?
No, as a waiter.
Okay,
and,
as a waiter.
And then but what really, this is gonna sound a bit crazy now, but as an African living in Europe, I did this personal survey where I realized there's not that many Africans working in restaurants on the floor.
Right.
Have you thought about that? Think about it. There's not that many Africans working on the floor. And for a long time, I used to think about, why is that? Why is there many Africans working here? You know? But I started to understand later what it was. And it's just because it's a thing where I made a conclusion that in Norway, integration is a measure of how fast they can become white. You know, that's my definition of it. Like, how fast can I become white? How fast, you know? And you get a lot of people who just like ask me questions, and I feel a lot of people get intimidated by how I talk, you know, how I sound. You know, I'm not saying I'm an intellectual or anything, you know, but I can kick it, you know, across the board, you know, and then
Articulate it.
I can articulate it, and then you think they're actually listening to you and happy, but for me, what I realize is most of some clients, they're really nasty, man.
Oh yeah.
They go to TripAdvisor and start writing all sorts of shit about you. And be like, oh, this guy, the black guy.
And then he touched me, and it was like.
And when you write the black guy with this, oh man, I'm the only.
All
should be more specific, guy.
And then continue the story. It's like, remember that part.
Crazy.
I read some reviews at the workplace that I'm working at now. Like, I was reading some of the bad reviews. I was like, okay, let's see what we can improve. And a lot of the stuff was just like, it's.
Kim is a badass or dumbass.
Yeah, if they knew my name, I'd be scared.
Dumbass, yeah.
Because I don't have like a name sign or anything like that. Kim is a badass. Like,
Oh yeah, the guy with the yellow vest.
Yeah, I'm that guy wearing a yellow vest while everyone's had a uniform. I'm like,
Yeah.
You work at the airport?
no. Then I need the yellow vest. No, I work at the movie theater.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that the vest doesn't even have the correct name.
Okay.
So, because they changed the brand.
Right.
So I have the old brand's name while everyone is wearing like updated uniforms, and I'm walking around like this douchebag, like this schmuck walking around like, hey, how can I help you today? And it's like, who are you? People are looking at me, and they're looking in the back because that's the big logo, right? And they're looking at me like, what the fuck?
You don't work here.
And I try to tell my boss like, hey man, that uniform we talked about like 6 months ago, how's that going? And it's like, oh man, yeah, I don't know. We're testing it out. How do you test it? Like, do you have experiments? Like, you testing mouses with that thing, or like human beings, or?
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Like, I have questions.
Like, how hard is it to get a guy a goddamn updated sweater or vest? You know,
just the pants.
Yeah,
It's just
very
something.
You have to fill out a form. You have to set up.
It's a fucking movie theater.
What are you
It's like
talking about?
NASA. It's like, okay, well, fine.
They should have stuff lying around.
They should have that, but they have a lot of yellow stuff.
It took me 5 months getting more than one used uniform for my job.
Yeah.
Since they had to order it from Stockholm.
Oh god.
And then it took me 3 months till I worked in that store again, and then I picked up my uniform.
What is it, organic? What is it?
I got, on my second day at work, I got my boss's old uniform, and then after
With bloodstains on
3
it.
months...
Oh my god, I just killed the dude.
That was my bloodstains after a while, but you get a lot of...
Wait, there's bloodstains on it.
No, I get a lot of paper cuts since I...
Jesus, where's this going? At least I get to watch movies for free, so that's nice.
Yeah.
So that gives me a lot more content.
One of the perks.
That's one of the perks. So I also get to do more content because I do reviews here on the channel. So
all right. What have you reviewed lately?
I reviewed Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
I did review on that one. Oh, now we're pulling those in, huh? Hobbs and Shaw. What else did I review, boys?
Batman Hush.
Batman Hush, yeah, the animated movie.
Fire?
Yeah,
Fire.
a documentary. Yeah.
That's all I remember right now.
Oh, by the way, you need to watch Fire.
I've
on
seen
Netflix.
Fire.
You've seen
I've
it?
seen it twice.
Oh God.
I have to watch it again just to make sure I'm watching the right thing.
that one from Netflix, because there's one on Hulu too, I think.
Yeah, but like the whole I watched the whole Fire thing, and to be honest, I thought whoever designed it is a genius.
Yeah, the guy is a genius.
Yeah, I mean,
The execution
I might catch him flack for this one I'm about to say right now, but I tend to be some kind of a devil's advocate sometimes, you know.
No, but that's okay.
You know, and it's like
to have.
if people are that stupid You know what I mean? If people are that stupid to pay that much money for something somewhere, I mean, don't people do their research? You know what I mean? Or
Too good to be true. And,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you should know there's something rotten in Denmark when shit like that happens, you know?
Yeah.
And then look at the guy doing it. He's like, okay, what the hell is this guy? Came out of nowhere. And it goes to show you one of the next... I love social media, but at the same time, I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, I really like... I mean... People don't even know. Some people think I love social media or something, but the truth is, I only have social media because it's pretty much how you have to get yourself out there.
That's how you network. It's the easy way to network.
Exactly, but the whole thing itself, as a platform, to me, it's toxic.
Yes.
And, you know, it's just super uber toxic in the sense of, don't get me wrong, I love Instagram. Don't get me wrong, I love Facebook, right? But what I mean is, Fire Festival would never work.
No.
Like, if this was a time before social media, that would never go down.
Oh, and they were trying to make it work. Like, they weren't trying to scam people. They were actually trying to make it work.
So his intentions were actually good?
Yeah, actually. So he was actually a good guy, and it was just like, watching Star Wars, like Anakin becoming like Darth Vader. It was like, he's just becoming evil. It's like, you know what? I like being bad.
He was the chosen.
He was the chosen.
That's the thing in 2018 and 2019, the expo explosion. Like, people are trying to have an expo for My Little Pony and Minecon and TanaCon and
everything.
They just don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. They promise, and then oh shit, it all falls through.
Yeah,
we don't know how to
because
do this.
they also have like influencers to do some PR for this.
Yeah,
stuff, right? Yeah, to promote it, and they think, oh, this is gonna happen. I might as well just promote it, and I got paid for it. But then when the whole thing falls flat, it's gonna go on to the influencers being like, you lied to us. It's like, well, I didn't know this was a lie. I didn't know. So a lot of you guys have been asking for my apology video. It's like, oh god, here we go, apology videos.
I mean, Kendall Jenner probably got like $250,000 for that. Yes, actually. Yeah. And then at the end of it all, she was like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, you got paid $250,000. You just signed okay without knowing what you.
Well, it is money, so I like money. Well, she, you know, it's not like she. It's not.
I like Kendall, by the way, just so you guys know.
Okay, well, it's not like
I'm not hating her. Right?
No. It's not like she was planning the whole event. If she did that, there would have been bigger consequences. But because she was only like the PR person behind it, you know, they got lied to as well. So it's just the whole thing of like, you know, they had one job. It's like, okay, you get Pablo Escobar's island, but do not advertise as being like, oh, we're gonna fuck on Pablo Escobar's grave. And what did they do? They put that at the first thing in the promo video.
Really?
And then they were like, get the fuck out of our island.
Are you serious?
What? Yeah, that happened.
Oh my god.
Pablo Escobar's private island, and then it was like the family was like, don't misbehave his name, and then they did it, and it was like, get the hell out of here.
Imagine if Pablo Escobar was alive when this happened. Imagine the consequences. You know what I mean?
Narcos season 5.
Oh my god, man! Like,
oh my god!
You know, I mean, you're messing with the cartel, and this one, like,
don't fuck with the cartel. They're still around somewhere.
I'm not gonna like, yo, cool, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pass up on that.
By the way, Narcos is a great show.
Oh man, which season do you guys like? I think I like season 2 better actually somehow.
Season 2?
Yeah,
that's my
2
favorite
seasons, right?
There are 3.
Nah.
And there are
4.
spin-offs.
I'm sorry, 4 seasons. 4 spin-offs.
Wait.
There's season 1, season 2.
I'm talking about the seasons after Pablo.
After Pablo, there was one season with
the other cartel. What they were called?
Oh yeah, the competition.
Yeah, what are they called again? Something Brothers. You know, those 2 guys.
Yeah, Dragon Brothers or something. I don't know. Some cliche shit. And then it was like...
I'm sorry, I didn't say it. They were stupid games. You know, I'm not saying, man, your viewers, you know, you guys in India, all of a sudden...
You know, you're going to have to visit Chile at some point.
Not a single person has been offended yet. I love that.
Not a single person has told us they've been offended yet.
Well, what's your comment section like? You read the comment sections.
People are like, nice set.
And then we have the one guy that keeps calling you an idiot.
Yeah. That's you.
Okay.
Yes.
No, that's your face. Like the time when you called the moon a planet.
Shit.
We have this weekly poll going on. Like, you know, once a week we have this poll going on Facebook where people can just click on their votes and stuff. And then the question was, it was your question because we have...
No, I wasn't there that week.
No,
that
but
was when I was out.
This was... that was your question, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It definitely wasn't mine.
It wasn't mine.
I might have
definitely
sent
wasn't
it.
Can I get a Red Bull?
I might have sent it.
But the question... Yeah, maybe. But the question...
Yeah.
The question was at least like, which planet would you want to live on? And then it was the moon and Mars. And every single comment, I swear to God, was like, well, I only see one planet, so there's only one to vote. It's like, guys, you get the question right. But people still did not want to listen to me.
Yeah, that was a fun comment section for me.
Oh, we got more comments than usual. I think.
Yeah.
I realized I do not miss school, man. I really don't. Jeez,
I do.
School.
I miss photography school. That was fun times.
I can see that. Yeah.
I do not miss
I don't miss school, but I feel like lately, like when I'm making music now, I'm just glad I studied chemistry, you know, and I'm glad I did because it's made me structured. You know, how to in my arrangements and how I do stuff, how I promote stuff, how I go about it. You know, I treat every single song like it's what do you call it, like an experiment. You know, and then at the end of it is a report.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one part I'm really glad I went to school for. You know, and I'm not that kind of artist who talks about sex, drugs, and all that. You know, I've never done it, probably never will. You know, and I'm glad.
Fix that.
I don't miss going to school, but I'm glad I did.
That's how you get originality. You take something that doesn't have anything to do with what you're doing, and then you bring it in, and it creates something new.
Absolutely.
Like 2 + 2 = 5 kind of thing.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
You get new methods, I guess, that creates new results.
Absolutely. And people say things like, "Oh, think outside the box." I don't really think outside the box. I just think outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to do your own thing. That's the thing. Right?
Exactly.
Do what works for you.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, school really helped in my thesis and in the way I put things together, arranging, because I also organize events here in the city. So I'm just glad. I mean, I'm glad I went to university. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
My uncle said that even though you have a degree or education that you might not use in your workplace, it's always good to learn new things.
Yeah, exactly.
You're always going to find a way to make use of what you learned.
Absolutely. I just learn by doing. It's the way it works, I think, you know. And I mean, not to change topic or anything, but like when you asked the question what got me into music before, there was a time where like people used to talk about how, I mean, it's so hard to get into the music industry, blah blah blah, and it is. Don't get me wrong, it is. It's, trust me, it's a fucking nightmare. But at the same time, it also depends on how much work you put in, plus what's your measure of success.
Yeah, because if you want that to happen, like if you want the success to come to you, like you're never gonna get it.
Nah,
you're never gonna get it.
I mean, some people get lucky,
maybe,
you know, but that's like
if your dad was a musician, then he can make you a musician.
And that's what happens a lot in the music industry.
Yes.
These days, I'm just actually finding that out. Lately, I've been hearing how this guy is connected to that guy, or that guy, his dad used to be the this and this, or this, you know, and it's a scary thing because, then I'm saying to myself, like, oh shit, I don't know anybody like in my family that's connected in this range, which means technically, I'm like, fuck, I'm fucked, you know. No, but then again, it also makes you grounded and makes you understand that you need to define your own measure of success. Yes. Because 2 years ago, I never knew who you guys were. You know, 2 years ago, I wasn't even invited to any podcast or do seminars and workshop or anything. You know, but these days I get to teach high school kids hip hop. Yeah. You know, do things at the National Center, for example. You know. And to me, those are the little successes I see as success. Yeah. You know, it's not if I'm playing in front of 1,000 people or the crowd is jumping up and down. I'm cool if it's 20 people in the crowd. I'm cool if it's 100 people. I'm cool. You know, it doesn't matter. And I'm cool if people just show up out of nowhere. Yes. To just listen to me do my thing. You know, to me, that's like, shit, you took time out of your day to come watch me. Yeah. I don't think you see this thing. I don't think it's this thing with I don't know. But whatever.
Yeah, it's just been annoying me.
Yeah, well, me too, actually.
Daniel, shut up.
The way you say your name, wow. Oh my god.
And the question is, how do you define serious? You know, like this in a way, it doesn't appear serious, but at the same time, it takes kind of skill sets to sit down and chop it up for, you know.
Yeah, we can have serious conversations, but we don't always want to like. No, sorry. We don't always want to like.
You already did that.
I already did it.
I did it better. But we sometimes want to have fun when we talk about that kind of stuff, you know. But we don't want to take life too seriously because I feel like it's. Recently, I was in a different podcast where the guy wanted to, like, this is his first episode, and he wanted to, his girlfriend, a.k.a. the producer, wanted to make sure, of course she's the producer.
He's the producer in his life.
In his life. Everything he does. Basically said that it's like, we were aiming for, like, people who've been bullied, like victims, and their experience and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's great. But if every single episode is going to be dark and depressing and talk about like how everybody was a victim and there's no hope and everything sucks, and if your life sucks, then tell us how much it sucks. It's like, if everything's going to be just that, it's there isn't going to be any help. Like, if I can joke about it, and I have been going through some bully stuff back in the day, it was like,
tell me about it.
Yeah, if I can joke about that, that means that I've been over it. You know, I don't take it as close to me as I used to do back in the day. Yeah. Obviously, when I look at that back in the day, I'm like, yeah, okay, there was some serious shit. Like, there was some stuff that nobody should have gone through. But at the same time, I didn't let that define me. I didn't let that, like, control my life.
Well, maybe not at the time, though.
No, at the time, I couldn't. But when I was out of it, I wanted to make sure that it's not going to be stuck in my head and it's going to define who I am.
Right.
It's a part of my past, yes. But I don't let that define me. And
it's always good to see in other people that it can get better.
Yes, and I wanted to literally show that in the first episode, and they were kind of stopping me a little bit, like, okay, don't joke too much. It's like, okay, I'm not making fun of victims. I'm literally making fun of the whole thing of like, this should control your life. It should never control your life. I didn't let it control it, so if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody else, right? People have been bullied in different circumstances in different ways, obviously, but. Yeah. And there's people who've been having harder problems than I have, for example, back in the day. But I still feel like there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So I wanted to prove a point of like, don't make everybody like the sad guy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, if you occasionally want a sad guy, then sure, I guess. But let me just show that it didn't stop me from being who I wanted to be.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So. I totally agree with you. I mean, I grew up in Africa, you know, and it's always a case. I mean, you grow up in Africa, go to school there, it's a different ball game. Yeah. You know, bullying is in your face, man. Like, this guy's come up to you. There is no, like, you know, and the question now is, are you going to, like, just kick back and let that control you? Yeah. Well, at the time, like I said, you're powerless. You know, it's like you're handcuffed. Yeah. But the older you get, and I always feel like people who are being bullied are the ones who create, like, the most creative stuff. In life. Yes. You know, I've been a victim of bullying for sure, you know, but it was because I was younger and those guys, people were older and it's like a thing, you know, but the older you get, the more you start to stand up for yourself, consciously and unconsciously, you know, but to sit down and talk about bullying in a gloomy, dark way. Yeah. Every episode.
The whole thing is going to be about that?
Then I'm not going to make it through season 1. That's you know.
13 reasons.
I'm just saying, you know. But of course, it's a serious issue, and it's something I address. I have kids, you know. So I tell my daughter, if somebody's mean to you, just say, "What a freaking loser."
Yeah, of course.
Just say that. Yeah. You know, and she's like, okay. Because you probably don't understand she's 5 years old. You probably don't know what that really means, but I'm pretty sure your teachers know what it means. So when you say, what a freaking loser, your teachers are probably going to laugh when you say it. But it's not going to affect you. It's going to affect the bully. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because now the bully will start thinking, okay, what did she just say? And why did they just laugh?
That's not the response I was looking I wanted.
Exactly. That's the response I'm looking for. So I teach my daughter, just whatever it is, if somebody is mean to you, just say, what a freaking loser. And walk away.
Yeah. Because they're looking for a fight. They're looking for someone to like talk back to them and be like, no, stop, you meanie. Or
if you're provoked, then it means they won.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just say that and walk away.
And that's the mistake I did. I let them like control me that way. I was like yelling at them and, you know, attacking back. And I literally, and of course I got the worst advice ever. It's like, you know, close your ears. Like, okay, I'll do that. And then they throw rocks at me and I'm like, I'm closing my ears. Cheek. I'm closing my ears, but they're throwing rocks at me. How do I stop the rocks? It's like, I can't do it. So
I need my hands.
I need my hands. I gotta deflect the bullets. But I can't do it. But okay, I might say something that might be a little bit controversial.
Oh no! Here we go.
But I don't give a shit. All right. I personally feel like if I ever get a kid in the future, better be a boy. That was a joke.
No, he wasn't. It wasn't. There was no way in hell that was a joke. You know, it's like you're talking to someone with 2 kids. There's no way in hell that is a joke. You know, like I got daughters too. That's what I'm trying to say. It's impossible. That's a joke. You think I'm not secretly wishing? You know?
I kind of want the kid to be bullied at least once, just to know how to defend him or herself. Like,
obviously, we don't want anyone to be bullied.
No, like
ever.
But a bullying,
Just once.
it's inevitable.
Yeah,
bullying is inevitable. It's gonna happen to someone. There are some people who go through life through middle school and high school and college, and they never get bullied. Right? You might be that lucky. But then maybe in the workspace, you might get bullied. And then what do? You've never gone through it before. So you don't know how to defend yourself. You don't know how to respond. You don't know what to do, right? You use your instincts, and that's like, oh no, stop it, right? And it's like those reactions that you don't want to give the other person. But if you've gone through it at a very young age, at some point, and you have reacted in the way that they don't want you to react, you already know what to do later. So,
it builds character.
It does. Exactly. There we go.
Really
that was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I'm not for bullying.
No.
I hate bullies.
Bullying sucks. Obviously.
No, for real. Like I absolutely detest bullies.
Yeah.
Barnehage or kindergarten, sorry. High school, middle school, grown-up adults. The grown-up adults who actually bully other people.
Foster
but
homes.
They do it in different kind of ways.
Yeah.
And I take it upon myself sometimes to actually confront whoever I see behaving as such.
Yeah.
And I put them in their place.
Yep.
I'm not a bully myself. That's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
It's just that I just don't enjoy the very fact of one person trying to make another person's life miserable, you know, just because they think they can, you know. And that's the reason when I make music too, most of my songs, I have a song called Kunst. It's written Kunst, actually. And it's pretty much designed to go against the industry that tries to suppress people who are trying to make real music. Yeah. You know, because apparently everyone is making a song according to like a Spotify recipe. You know? Yeah. Just to get in some playlist and some shit like that. And I'm like, that's bullying right there, you know. You're forcing a person not to be naturally creative anymore. You're forcing them to create a song to fit your criteria. Yeah. Yes. You know, and that's why when I make music, I said it on the track, fuck Spotify. I said it on the song I have called Krieg. It says, I say it there, fuck Spotify. Don't get me wrong, I am on Spotify. But they're creating a thing. It's like cyberbully, but in a different kind of way. But I'm just wanting for people to wake up and notice that. You know, nobody makes music anymore just to make music. You know, people make music to get streams and to get likes and to get all that. You know, and
money.
Yeah, I
have to pay your bills. Obviously.
Of course, I get that. Oh yeah, I want to make a lot of money if I can. You know, but the truth is,
but if you do it in the right way, right, in the most moral way for your own self, right.
If peace of mind, man.
If you can do it without going back in life and regretting the decisions you made, then it's fine. If you make a lot of money, that's good for you, and you make good clean money.
I lived in Vegas. When I met you guys, I literally just came back when I met you guys, and I was in Vegas. I was in the art district in downtown, and I was with a lot of artists. There were so many of them, very very talented, and I just looked at them and I said to myself, "Shit, nobody knows who you are. I wouldn't know who you were if I didn't meet you right now." But here you are making an absolutely amazing art, you know. And I spoke to the girl called Vera, who actually produced my next single I've been working on. And she said, Michael, listen, or Doriansgrave, listen, I'm in a country with over 250 million people. The competition is crazy. There's a lot of us here. Yeah. I'm just happy to be able to do what I do and be appreciated by the very few who appreciate it. If they can appreciate it, that's cool with me. And it made me think about Norway somehow. Because in Norway, it's 5 million people or something like that?
Yep.
Right? And I feel like in Norway, there's this like, if one person does one thing, they automatically think they're the best at it. It's so weird. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You know, like...
That guy can do beats.
It's you see one producer produces one song and he thinks he's the best producer in the world. Yeah. And I'm like, and I keep something, but then they say, oh, Michael, you're one of the best rappers. But I don't think so. I'm like, I can rap, yes, but... There's a lot of great rappers out there, you know.
You just don't know them yet.
Exactly. You just don't know who they are. So that's why when you see me, like, people look at me like, oh, you know, like the other rappers, you know, like Stuck Up or whatever. I say, it's just rap. I can talk really fast over beats. What the fuck? I didn't just change the world, you know? It's like I just did rocket science.
You just changed my life.
You know, I just rap. There's nothing fancy to it.
Yeah.
Because if you're really good at something, you don't need to over-glorify it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I see it. So I see a lot of rappers who probably subpar, not even that good, but they make one hit record, and then the whole world treats them like they're like they're superhumans, you know? And I'm like, time out. Sit down somewhere. You're not that good. No offense. You know? And that's just how I see it, you know? And that's why I keep working on, I mean, not to talk about music or anything, but that's why I keep, like, when I'm releasing songs or whatever, I tell people it's just for the art of it. If you want to share it, please. Of course, I would appreciate that. But it doesn't change anything.
Like if we can tell that it is your passion,
right? I mean,
then that automatically is gonna make. Like I don't listen to a lot of rap personally.
No.
I don't. I do listen to some, but I'm not like into the whole thing of like, oh, I just listen to that guy's album and that guy's like I'm not there.
Nobody does
but,
that.
But I can't. Well,
not a lot of people do that anymore.
No. There's one left. I can appreciate if somebody's passionate and their words can somehow speak to me, and I can understand where the person is coming from. Like if I can literally tell that this is art, then I will appreciate it a lot more than somebody who can rap faster than 5 seconds or something like that. It's like, I don't care how fast you can do it. Like, I don't care. Same thing with movies. Oh, in film school, so many show-offs, man. Like, yes, we had a lot of great equipments, but just because your movie looks nice, what about the script? What about the acting?
I love
we don't know that.
You have those at the end of the semester. You have everyone at NOF and whatever showing off their movies.
Yeah.
It's so fun going there and seeing the weird shit.
Yeah, like when I was showing my short film where it was just an experimental movie. It was like an artsy fartsy movie where people have no idea what is actually going on, but it's more up to your interpretation. People were surprised of like, wow, I can definitely see this on the internet. It's like, well, yeah, that's hopefully where you get to see it, because nobody's publishing their stuff. Nobody's actually showing off, like, if the class didn't like it, maybe other people will like it. You know what I mean? If the teacher didn't like it, maybe someone else will. You know, it's like, it doesn't always
it's not even a maybe. Someone else will.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's a thing where, like, the King of Norway, for example. Right? I always use him as an example in these things, in the sense of, like, there is a king in Norway.
Yep.
We all know that.
Yep.
And we all know he's in Oslo somewhere in a building.
No, he's sitting right here.
No, but I mean, we all know he's in the castle in Oslo, in Karl Johans Gaten, I think, at the very end of it. But okay, cool. He's the king of Norway. All right. But as soon as he gets on the plane and goes to the UK, for example, all of a sudden we're aware that there's a king in Norway. You know what I mean? Like, a king is never a king in his own country, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, when he goes to the UK, everything stops. You know, the camera comes out. There's a red carpet probably stretching from Buckingham Palace up on the way to Victoria's Circus or some shit like that.
Although at this point it's really impressive that he makes it.
Right.
You just watch his Instagram feed, he's like, what up, guys? He got out of bed. It's a boy King Harold.
He made it.
Like with a 1-2 piece.
You know, and that's what I'm saying. So when you put out your film, even if your class is like, the reason they're doing it is because they know who you are on a personal level.
Yeah.
But someone who doesn't know who you are outside the world will see from the artistic level and be like, oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah, like my family didn't like the film.
Right, because
they don't
know you with that.
It.
Yeah, they don't
associate.
They don't associate you with.
Yeah, but they literally raiced me.
Exactly.
So it's like when they see me actually trying to make something that they're used to seeing on Netflix, when they watch something on Netflix, they don't know who made it. They don't know the person who made it.
It was amazing, you know.
Oh my god, you should have seen that guy.
Yes,
you know, it's like that guy. But then when I make something, it's like, maybe you should get a job. It's like, but then when I show it to someone else, they're like, oh my god.
That's the important thing of separating the artist from
exactly. And I just got a meeting about that right now before I came here. Is I separate your art from who you are. And I used to show people my music, like people I know close to me. I stopped. I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, you're never gonna get an honest opinion anyways, because they know you personally. Even if they hate the shit out of it, they're not really gonna tell you they hate the shit out of it. You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, pretty good, you know, whatever.
There have been a few times, you know, when I make something on the internet, I want to share it, of course, but it's like if somebody I know leaves me a comment on that Facebook post where I shared something that I made,
Right.
and they give me like a constructive, good or not good feedback, I will take that comment seriously. I don't care if that's from my mom or if it's from my cousin or a good friend of mine. Like, if it's a constructive comment of why that person did or did not like it, then I will take that comment seriously. But if it's like, great job, King, keep it up.
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to take that seriously. I don't like you. You're lying.
I'm glad you said that. I'm usually very careful with the compliments I receive, you know.
Yes.
Because I feel like something get a bit generic. You know, it's like they feel like they have to say it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you really don't have to. It's cool.
You can definitely tell when it's face to face.
Exactly.
See how they do it.
And it's just like, oh, that was nice and this and this. I'm like, cool. You know, like,
I'm glad you
like, no, thank you for the compliments. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the compliments, but I'm also careful with how I receive them.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's like, we make music, we do it all day, every day, whatever. But at the same time, like, sometimes I want my critics to be someone I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be someone I don't know. Someone who's outside who I'm not connected to at all. That's why I like posting my stuff on forums.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't know me. They have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
So when they're commenting from what they heard, not the person they know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're just right. You know, and that's where I go to look for not compliments but criticism.
Yes.
Mostly.
Yeah.
You know.
Like some feedback that you would need later down the road.
There are
Exactly.
definitely times when knowing the artist can also help you understand.
Right.
That's also
If you know that an artist has like a history with domestic violence, for example, and then they make an art piece that, like, in its own doesn't necessarily scream domestic violence, but then you can start to connect it with the artist's life, and you can see like where it's coming from.
Absolutely. One of my favorite artists of all time is a guy called Jean-Michel Basquiat, who pretty much took over from Andy Warhol back in the early 80s. He used to be known as Semao. He used to go around New York like back in the days and just write his name Semao everywhere. Okay. And he comes up with a lot of introspective sayings on the trains, the graffiti kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this guy like literally just took over. Even Andy Warhol got jealous of him. This is a fact. And this is a fact. This is a fact, you know. No, because Andy Warhol was big back then. He was like a god of sorts. You know, everybody wanted to be associated with him.
Yep.
And now here comes the question. How did Jean-Michel Basquiat get to be so big? If you Google him, if you see him, you would know who he is, kind of thing. Well, guess what? He went around writing graffiti everywhere, but nobody knew who he was. You probably passed him on the street, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you don't know who he is. Therefore, a lot of people in the beginning were like, what the fuck is that? To, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's genius. You know, but when his face was revealed, he killed the moniker Semao and started going with Jean-Michel Basquiat. And literally 6 years later, he dies.
Oh.
That's a bit morbid end to that story.
It just abruptly.
Yeah.
The post-credit scene,
the
nothing.
cocaine addictions and everything, you know, they came in, and all of a sudden, you started asking yourself these questions that maybe this compliment sometimes is what exactly kills the artist. I had a couple of reviews and these newspaper articles written about me. I never read them.
Oh, okay. And you're not planning on?
I never read. There's a bunch of them I haven't even.
No.
People used to text me like, "Oh, by the way, good article." I'm like, "Great."
Thanks. Are you afraid that it's gonna like affect the way you make
because
music, right?
that's the problem. Because I feel like a lot of artists, they see all these great reviews about themselves, and they'd be like,
"I'm gonna continue what I'm doing."
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, I got the validation I need." You know,
now I can do whatever I want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I read some. I'm not ignoring all of them. You know, it's like a short, concise review. I'll definitely go through that.
Yeah.
But a lot of artists read all these things, and it gets to their head.
Yeah.
You know, and they start changing the way they behave. Like, oh, look at me now. I'm someone he writes about. You know.
You don't know who I am.
And I always said, like, don't. It's the same with this famous graffiti artist, the one who Dolk. Is that his name?
Yeah.
He just revealed his face.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was Dolk, right?
Yeah.
It was.
Wasn't the one who has a painting at Harrods, the one that shredded? Is it Dolk?
Yeah, that's it.
That's him, right?
Yeah.
The one that shredded and all of
Oh
a
no,
sudden-
that was
Banksy?
Banksy.
That was
Banksy.
Yeah.
Banksy. That's why I love Banksy. You know, he lives in this dilapidated hotel in the war zone. I think in Israel, if I'm not mistaken. That's where he lives.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm like, shit, this guy. But what makes us love him is because we haven't really seen him. And he's been doing this for years. And he doesn't really care about the limelight or any. He just does the job, you know. And that's my stand when it comes to arts and compliments.
Yes,
you know, kind of thing.
But that's one of the things I love about graffiti and stencil art on the streets,
right?
Because they do it and they have maybe a political message, and it's beautiful and it's nice, but they do it knowing that someone might paint over it an hour later. It's not made to last.
Wow.
I've met AFK a couple times. The guy that made the Civilist year or 2 years ago. I met him when he set up his first exhibit at MCB, Media City Bergen. And he's just a very down-to-earth guy that has a lot of thoughts about society.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then you get all this media stuff about him, and I'm really happy about him not going out and showing his face, because it would lose a lot if he did.
Yeah, but he just did, like a few months ago, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was Dolk that revealed his face. He's a 40-year-old dude or something.
Yeah, they're old. They're usually old. These guys are really young. You think some young shit. Like, you see some cool pics and you think, oh, this guy was like 20. You know, look at him jumping around.
But he's still not out in the media right now, because with the stuff that's been going on now at MCB, where they took down his exhibit and then put it back up, he still won't meet the media himself. He goes through emails or intermediary.
Isn't he the guy that had the Lamborghini in the airport?
I'm not entirely sure.
I think he bought a Lamborghini and then he just put it on the street and told everyone, just key this car, please. Just do whatever you want, key it, mess with it, kick it, and then they exhibit it in the airport.
Yeah, standing there now. I saw a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Wow, nice to see that. Interesting.
So he's got a lot of political ideas.
Got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. But I like his stuff. It's all good stuff. It's all very clear, concise. You know, you don't have to be a art genius to understand what the meaning of it is.
Oh wow!
Also,
I love that though, like the simplicity of it.
I don't think things are like meant to last. You know what I mean? I saw a Facebook video not so long ago where I think it was in India, where there are these students that are they get this large table and they start painting over that and they start doing this really nice detailed art, and they spend like sometimes weeks, months, not even years doing it. And then all of a sudden people are like they're waiting for the people to take pictures and stuff. They're waiting for the people like the tourists to come in and look at them. And then what happens is that the teacher just like claps with the hands and the students just like they ruin the painting in front of them, and you can see people being like, why would you do that? And then they tell them things are not supposed to last, so even if we kept this up, somebody would have painted over it at some point.
So let's do it ourselves.
And you gotta learn to not love everything that you have, because you're gonna lose it eventually.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And they did that by shocking people in that way, because they feel like that's the best way people can learn that value, rather than reading some quote on the internet.
You pointed out how like you destroy the art because when you paint on a wall, someone else can come over and paint over it. You know what I mean? I think that's a very beautiful thing to say, actually. And I'm going to take that away from here. As, no, for real.
Copyright. Can't steal shit from me.
It's not an original quote. No, but that's a beautiful thing to say. That's like when I make music, for example, I'm happy with it. But what people don't know is that I don't like. I'm just as soon as I get out one track, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm done with it.
Don't make part two.
No, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm literally because you know why? Because this track has been in my head marinating for like 6 months, 7 months. You know, it's like a painting, and it's like boom, done. All right, that's it. It's out. So what's the next project? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's usually how I look at it, and I don't go back and say, oh, that was a. I can of course go back and write about the song, but I don't really dwell over these things. You know, I don't say this was a defining moment. It was a moment, but it wasn't a defining moment or anything. You know, so
every song has its own story.
Absolutely.
But and by all means, there are some songs that you can make where the songs are different, but it's kind of like a continuation or something from the same story.
Yeah.
But I think I would appreciate if every single thing that was made was different, because then it speaks a lot more to a larger audience, where you have some people who prefer this kind of song and then some people who prefer this.
Exactly.
Rather than having like the same type of song all the time, or the same movies or games, where it's like, you have to be a fan of this in order to like this. Ugh. It's like where new people can come in and jump into this at the same time.
That's the only way to grow as an artist.
Absolutely.
You can't dwell on past things.
Absolutely.
Like I love horror movies, but if I watched every single horror movie all day, every day, and I never watched any other movies, I would be tired of that. You know what I mean? I would be done with it. I want some variety.
If I go into a room to perform, for example, a lot of people listen to my track on Spotify or iTunes, and they'd be like, they're expecting to hear those tracks.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, you're not.
You're not. No.
I will tell you this. I was at Phil Collins' concert not so long ago, and I love his music from the movie Tarzan.
Okay.
He did not play a single song from Tarzan. Of course, my childhood
this is not
was
surprising.
hurt. I was like, but later I was like, but the other songs were good. So just because it wasn't from Tarzan, it was like, I would have liked that personally.
Good concert.
But I'm sure that, it was a good concert. But I'm sure that other people would have been like, oh, but he's playing the same song over because it's so popular, right? So he played some songs that was not that popular. Yeah, and a lot of the fans... like people who are old school fans, they appreciated that because they were like, oh, I haven't heard that song in like 20 years, right? And then there's me who's like, wow, this is new.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to back then, if you go to Bob Dylan, not that I was at a Bob Dylan concert, but at a Bob Dylan concert, don't expect to hear the same chords or the same sounds that you heard on whatever record, because he's going to change it. And I do the same, not because of Bob Dylan, but just naturally when I go into a room, like when you guys saw me playing at Bascaria, for example, the songs you heard, none of them is out. Like, they're variations of a song you've heard before.
Wait, so they were fake?
No, when I play Yesterday, the same thing. Yeah. I usually organize my concert according to the room I'm in.
Yeah.
So I don't really go in with a set. I go to the room first, and when I see the room, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And this is how this is going to sound. So that's why people talk about me. So they were like, oh, I was in the Doriansgrave concert yesterday. He did this and this. The other person would be like, really? He did that? Not when he was at my concert. He probably did something else. All my concerts change. It's never the same set. It's never the same sounds. Yeah. But I mean, the lyrics might be the same, but I change them.
I think that would be great because the next time you have a concert, somebody will have that talk and they're going to be like, well, I'm going to get something that I'm never going to get again.
Exactly.
If I go to this concert. But I felt like I lost something when I didn't go to the other one. So you're always going to get something new. So when they want to come back again, they're always going to experience something new again.
Exactly.
Like it's you, yes, but you're doing something different.
It's always something different. It's not too far out from what you're used to, but it's definitely going to be different. And plus, sometimes I change the lyrics while performing. There's this one song I have with a couple of names in them. So if I'm in the room, let's say I see you, when I'm rapping it, your name might pop up. And then maybe tomorrow, if she's in the room, in that same instant, that place I put your name in, I might switch it out with her name. Yeah. And I do that I do it quicker when I see the person and I'm rapping it. I'm like, oh. And her name, like there's a guy called Leo Russell, one of the guys who used to produces for me sometimes. His name came up in the track I was making because he was in the room.
But that's also a way to make the audience feel unique.
Exactly.
At a concert, right?
I did it yesterday too. And so I mentioned people's names in the track in the instant. So I always think like if you're a real artist, you should be able to like morph, into the situation you're in. Yeah. And imagine going into a small venue and you have like this really major songs going on. You can't do that. It just doesn't fit the room. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? Like. I just change it. I'm like, all right, cool, this is what the room deserves. That's what the room gets.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen Major Parkinson?
I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so.
They're great at adapting to the audience.
Adapting to the audience.
If they're in a big concert, big scene, big everything, then they're more visual on the stage. Because there are people far away, right? So they can see everything, and so they make the big motions. They dance more, and when it's a small concert with like intimate, not many people, then they play with the audience. Like, okay, everybody's just gonna sit down now. Then we're gonna play Death in the Candy Store, and then when we start the song, everybody's gonna rise up, and then it's everybody dancing. And it's just such a great way because every song is different every time they play. Because they adapt to the audience.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I definitely respect that. And it's just, I've been trying to preach that for a long time to people. I organize the slam poetry events here and they're always different. Yeah. And I tell them like it's a different vibe every time because I'm a creative, right? It's my job to create new things all the time. I get bored quickly, right? So if I do the same thing, I feel like I haven't done a great job. Then it's like, what was that? That's not impressive. So when people are giving me compliments at the same time, I'm gonna be careful with the compliments though, because you might not feel the same way tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
You know? So that's it. But I need to I don't know how you gonna edit this part out?
No, I'm gonna leave this part in. Son of a bitch. This is the great thing about editing. I have the power. Speaking of power, you are actually gonna be playing something. Was that
I was
something?
not thinking about power. But
I think about Power is in the movie, the series, or I think about Power by something else.
I
The store.
have no idea. He always does this with segues.
I have no idea.
Okay,
Really nonsensical.
I can play something I've been working on.
Yeah.
And then I was working on a project called, it's like a dildo, but it's not a dildo, I swear.
He's lying.
That was weird. No, never mind. It's called Kill a Kanye.
You're gonna kill Kanye?
Yeah, I've been trying to see like if my work would fit with let's say Kanye West produced for me at some point.
Yeah.
Like if I could like make sure I represent well on the Kanye track since it's produced by the almighty Kanye West. I could try to kick it.
Okay.
And
we'll try.
We'll see what it sounds like if it makes any sense. Okay.
Yeah. We're actually gonna wrap it up now.
Ooh, that was fun.
Get it? Wrap it because you're gonna wrap it. So.
Yay!
I'm gonna leave. All right. Now I'm gonna leave.
No. Fire.
All right, let's do this. I'm nervous now.
I'm
Jesus
nervous.
Christ.
Me too.
It's a bit weird if you guys.
Why are you nervous?
It's a bit weird if you guys edited this out of like the pug. I'll be
As
so
soon as you open
pissed
your mouth,
off.
it's like cut the black.
All right. Should I go close to the microphone or should I stay away from it? I don't know. What are you thinking? Can somebody film this?
This?
That one?
No. I got a video of this part. What I'm about to do. What I want to do right now.
You okay?
Is that okay? That'd be great. Okay. Metaphorically speaking, I'm not the greatest of rappers. I pull my ego aside, I'll be the first to admit it. Yeah, technically speaking, people be holding you backwards. They say they're keeping it real, but I can tell that it didn't. Cause when you're speaking from the heart, you know it's hard to fall apart, boy. From the start, I never cared about the charts, boy. Mad at me for thinking I'ma be the lesser man. But little do you know, I probably came up with a better plan for shattering the stereotypes. Show you how to delegate. I don't wanna say it twice, you see, I'd rather meditate. See you popping bottles with your models when you celebrate. Tell me when you're done, then I can show you how to elevate. Take you to the next level. I'm not a daredevil. I'm just a renegade about to set the record straight and hoping for the day I die so I can see the heavyweights like Kuti, Simone, Basquiat, and Holiday. All you rappers in the game and what you're rapping to us. And all the shit you wanna claim that never happened to us. Oh yeah, you're thinking that you're great, you're only average, homie. I probably think you fly to me, you're caterpillars. They say I'm old, I don't fuck with the trends. I'ma live till I'm 110. But what's a man to a friend, and what's a soul to a keep? If I don't speak from the heart, then why the fuck should I speak? Check it. I went through hell to find the book of life and read it through the last chapter. I smoke a J like I'm a jam master just before I crumble like a sandcastle. You know they don't miss you. The fucking brothers up like Lannisters. Check Interrows, section, city streets, I know the pressure. I hit the town, I found graffiti filled with stolen treasures. And then I realized the rules are never changing though. I'm really trying hard to make it though. Cause I've been around the globe in search of your validation. A futuristic flow just like the book of Revelations. Put the game up in reverse. The whole world knows my name and I ain't never spit a verse. I'll tell you how much it hurts when I come around. Oh, they started speaking on me. I'm searching for the truth, somehow the truth's been hidden from me. I'm searching for some wine, so you see I need this money for some Bordeaux 69. I only spit in vintage money. And your chip gimmicks. Been around the globe, I did it in 6 minutes, made like 6 figures, hanging out with all my street people. Since man's not hot for the suits and shit, people. Genghis Khan flow, I let the world know that it's cold outside like I'm in Oslo, exchanging handshakes upon my corporate landscapes, where a man is determined by how much a man makes.
Hey, look at that. Hey.
Oh, God.
That was good, though.
Thank you.
Good.
Easy with the compliments. Don't forget to hit the like button.
Speaking of shout outs, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Doriansgrave. Doriansgrave, one word. You can find me on Facebook, Doriansgrave on all platforms.
Oh, cool.
Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, the rest of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
There will be links in the description so you can go check it out for each platform. Yeah, you're going to be doing anything pretty soon?
Yeah, August 26th, I'm doing in collaboration with Slam Poetry Bargain at the House of Literature, something called Art-ish.
Okay.
And it's pretty much a platform for a lot of slam poets, music lovers, dancers, contemporary dancers mostly.
Okay.
It's going to do a showcase. It's going to be great. I put together a really fine group of selected, eclectic lineup, actually. And it's going to be dope. I hope everyone will come check it out. August 26th at the House of Literature in Bergen. And then September 7th, I'm going to be playing at the Loft Festival, of course.
Shit.
And
my artsy fartsy boys.
And I just want to say right for the first time, I'm going to break the Guinness World Book of Record in the longest rap song consecutively. I've never done that before. I don't think anyone has done it. Maybe J. Cole has done it on one track.
What's the longest so far?
Maybe I could take that back, but it's not a consecutive rap. It's a track all for your eyes only. That's about 8 minutes long.
Okay.
But I don't think he's rapping consecutively. I think there's like choruses in between.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I'm gonna go 6 minutes on a Kanye West produced beat. Okay. And I'm gonna kill that beat for 6 minutes straight.
Hell yeah.
No breaks.
And that's going to be at the Loft Festival.
Okay.
Undali Loft Festival.
At Undali on the 7th of September.
Doors open at 7, I think.
And then in October, of course, I'm going to try really something new called The Life and Times of Jane Doe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And go check it out if you're in the area. And if you're not in the area,
come visit.
Thank you for coming, man.
Thanks for having me. It was fun, bro. It was very good.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
and,
sir.
You're always welcome to come back again. It would be cool to see you being on the regular podcast where we actually talk about the movies and games and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Just let me know.
It's usually just us talking about Marvel for 3 hours.
Oh, that's great.
I try talking about new movies, but these guys are like a bunch of pussies.
And by the way, if you guys want to do a live podcast, with audience or whatever, just let me know.
Okay.
I have a cool venue, actually, and I've had you guys in mind for since the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
We actually had a meeting yesterday, and I thought about you, and I said I wanted to I don't want to disclose the venue right now because it's still under secret. And,
of course.
But it will be perfect for your. It's not like I feel like Bergen. All the venues are way too big. It's too much. I'm like I want to keep it concise. I want it to be fun and different. So for sure, I'm looking forward to hosting you guys for a live podcast.
Awesome. That would be awesome. I guess on that note, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for watching.
Bye. Deuces.
Holy shit! What the fuck was that?